Okay, so there's two rules that I like to tell students as far as multiplying fractions. One, multiply and reduce, or two, reduce. Okay, y'all gonna have to hurry up and finish with that. Whatever y'all doing, hurry up. Go ahead and get everything out, because it amplifies over here. These microphones are real sensitive. Y'all are getting stuff out. It sounds like y'all are burying. So what does that mean, reduce and multiply? Well, in this case, I cannot do number 2. Why can I not do number 2? Because 5 and 7 are what? Prime, and 3 won't go into 8. So I can't reduce and multiply. So what do? I multiply and reduce. So I'm going to go straight across. 3 times 7 is what? 21. And 5 times 8 is what? Now, you cannot reduce it because you couldn't reduce anything over here. If you can't reduce anything over here, then chances are you're not going to be able to reduce anything in your answer. Okay? So either you go through and multiply and reduce, or you reduce and multiply. Let me show you an example of number 2. Now, I don't like to write in red. 1/2 times 4/5. Now, could I go through and multiply? Yes. I could go through and say 1 times 4 is 4, and 2 times 5 is what? But what do I need to do here? I need to divide again, reduce, because 4/10 is not in simplest form. I can divide 4 by 2, divide by 2, divide by 2, because we know that they're both even, and I get what? 2 over what? That is simplified form. Now, again, I could take this problem. That's number 1. I wish this thing would stop acting up. And that's number 1. Number 2 would look like this. 1/2 times 4/5. And I'm going to take my handy dandy red marker, and I'm going to, what is 2 and 4 are even, aren't they? So 2 will go into 2 one time, 2 will go into 4 2 times, 1 times 2 is 2, and 1 times 5 is what? Do you get the same answer? So does it matter which one you use? No. That's how you multiply fractions. Okay? So it doesn't matter which one you use. You have to use this one, because this one is used all the time. Okay? All the time. Okay. I'm getting irritated. All the time. Hold on just a second. I'll be right back. I can't leave because y'all get bored. Hold on just a second. Then y'all leave and. Can you do me a favor and send Sandra down here? I don't know her extension. Thanks. Bye-bye. Okay, now that the technology person's going to come down here, everything it's doing will stop. It'll stop doing it then. See? All the time. Now, a while ago, it wasn't doing that. There it goes. All the time, you multiply and reduce. Some of the time you can use this, but you can't use it all the time. It has something to do with me standing on the right side. I'll stand on this side. Well, now it's not working.
It's the Russians.
It's the Russians. Question on multiplying. Okay, let's move on. And of course, they get 21/4 just like I did. Okay, now let's look at this one. All right, do that one. Okay, remember me telling you about the calibration? Go ahead and everybody do this one. Well, it's doing it again, and I don't know why it's doing it. Now it's not going to do it now that you're here. Has it not been doing it?
Yeah.
I couldn't even write a while ago. Now it's not doing it. I'll do this, and it'll stop, and it'll keep going, and it'll stop and keep going, and I don't know why it's doing it. Go ahead and walk out and look through the window. No, I'm just kidding. As soon as you leave, it'll start doing it. Now, I just did the previous screen. I wrote, and it would not write. It would not write, and I don't know what's up with it. Now it's doing perfect.
No, that's what last one.
No, it's just not. That's usually it does it when I do it on the left-hand side. See, there it goes. Did you see what it did?
Yeah.
Okay. Now either it's this thing or I don't know what it is, but something needs to be done. Did you calibrate it or can you calibrate it?
I have calibrated it, but
There it goes. And what with you here, it's doing it like that. Sometimes it'll do it and I have to sit here and wait for 5 or 10 seconds. There it goes. So it's doing it. I don't know why. So it may be because, well, now it's, does that mean it means the battery is flasher?
if it flashes, then it means it should be fine. I don't get another one.
Okay, thank you. And do you have another stylus?
I don't think so, but I'll check.
Check and see. Thank you. Okay. I'm sorry about that, but I have to call her when it's doing it. Because when she comes down here and there's nobody, I have to have witnesses. Okay. So, okay. All right. So, what is, does anything cancel? No. Nothing cancels because 3 and 4, they're not in common, and 9 and 2 are not in common. But a negative times a negative is what? Positive. So your answer is going to be positive. 2 times 4 is what?
8.
And 3 times 9 is what? 27? So your answer is 8 over 27. Now, what happens when you have a mixed number and a fraction? You change both of them into fractions. If everything is in fractional form, everything will work out fine. Okay? If everything is in fraction form, everything will work out fine. Oh my gosh. What do? Well, you change these into improper fractions. That's the easiest thing to do. So go ahead and do that. Go ahead and change these two into improper fractions. So the first one, remember the big C? I told you to use the big C whenever you do impropers. So what's 8 times 1? 8 plus 7 is what? 15 over 8 times, what's 2 times 4? 8 plus 1? Okay, now, see if, thank you very much. And I'll let you know. We need to get some extra styluses.
I'll have some more.
Thank you.
Yep.
Y'all do that. I'm going, the farm boy in me says I think I found the problem. This spring has done got wore down. I believe that's why it's cutting on and off. Where's my? Oh my gosh, I got a blade. Oh my gosh.
Destroy us all.
Yeah. Let's try that. Y'all didn't see that. That's a keychain.
Okay.
Let's see if that'll work. Should have a little bit of resistance when the battery goes in. Let's try that. Watch it not work at all now. Okay, can anything cancel? 8 and 9 have nothing in common, 4, no. So straight across. 15 times 9, well that's a 45 and a 1, 3. And 8 times 4 is what? 32. Now I know 4 times 3 is 12. So I'm going to multiply 4 times 32 in my head, and that's going to give me 100 and what? 128. So I know it'll go in 4 times. 4 times, and let's see, 128 from 135 is what? 7? 7 over 32. Somebody help me out. See if I got. Somebody do the math. Check me. What'd y'all get?
Yep.
Okay? All 3 of those are good test questions, so make sure that you make a note of them. Those are the type of test questions I will ask you besides the adding and subtracting.
So do we take our tests in here, or do we take them online?
I'm not answering that on the grounds that I've already covered that on day number 2.
Well,
Watch
I
the
know the
video.
answer, but it's just fun it was.
Yeah, I'm going to do everything online and then give you an in-class test because I need to do the busy work of grade. No.
My
No.
psych teacher makes us do everything online, so I think we have to take our test in class on the
That's
Scantron.
ridiculous. I'm not doing it. Okay, there you go. 4 and 7/32 or 135 over 32. Now the only reason, why did I change it? I don't have a unit of measurement. Why did I change it to a mixed number? Because the problem what? Started with a mixed number. That's a general rule of physics, math, science, whatever you're in. If you start with a decimal, you end with a decimal. If you start with a fraction, you end with a fraction. If you start with a mixed number, you end with a mixed number. Other than that, I would take the 135 over 32 because the only other reason you need a mixed number is for units of measurement. Whether it be miles, grams, cups, quarts, whatever. So that's that. We got it right. Now to go, of course, they go against the rule and leave it as a improper fraction, which I would not suggest on any kind of standardized test unless the option is there, A, B, C, or D, to pick the improper fraction. So, okay, they did change it. Good. Reciprocal. Why do you need the reciprocal? Because you do not divide by a fraction. What do? You multiply by the what? Reciprocal. I'm not going, okay, here we go. There is no division of fractions. Because whenever you see a fraction, whenever you divide it by a fraction, you rewrite it to multiply by the flip-flop. So I'm going to hit 3/8 multiplied by, what is the flip-flop or the reciprocal of 5/7? 7/5. So this is what you end up doing. So technically, there is no division of fractions. You multiply by the reciprocal. No coughing in class. 3 times 7 is 21. 8 times 5 is 40. That's the same one we did a while ago, I believe. We got that one right. All right, y'all do that one. I would quit. I wouldn't even try. Why? Got negatives and fractions. Heck, I don't even want to do it.
Well, too bad.
Just quit. I could love to tell y'all, I got to tell y'all a story. I'm going to tell it after you finish it. I need to tell y'all the story after we do this problem. Email. I got an email this weekend from a student. Gotta love it. So, I'm not going to divide by 3/13. What am I going to do? I'm going to multiply by the flip-flop. So, negative 2 over 9. You know, since I put that battery in, I haven't had any skips. I think that's what it was. I know. You mean your parents taught you not to knock on wood? Golly, I'm not used to that. Usually, I say knock on wood, students look at me like I'm speaking Japanese or something. Over 3. Quit knocking on wood in class. All right. So next, what do? Just go across. Nothing will cancel. So what's a negative times a positive? And we're going to go over that here in just a minute. And what is 2 times 13? And what is 9 times 3?
27.
And you're done. Now again, remember, multiplication and division of fractions is your easy ones, okay? That's the ones that everybody should say, oh, I remember how to do that. That's not a problem. What gets you? The adding and subtracting, which you have to depend on 5.1 to find the common what? Denominator. Question, gripe, complaint. Okay, evaluate. Here we go. I'm not doing these because, I'm sorry, if you can't do these, then we got problems, okay? These already have a what? Common denominator. Most students, 4/8, and what is 4/8? 1/2. Okay, so I'm not going to insult your intelligence on that one, but as you can see, it's already got a common denominator, so you just do the top, okay? The ones that you're going to see are the ones that don't have a common denominator. Somebody tell me what 19 minus 5 is. 14 over 24, and what is 14 over 24 reduced down? So that's 7 over 12. There you go. Now write those two down in case, you need to, review over it. I don't think there's too many of you that need to review over it, but if there is, you already have a common denominator. Will you see any of these on the test? No. I'm not going to test you on that because most students know how to do it. I'm going to test you on if you don't have a common denominator. So write those two down. Just write down if you don't need the explanation, just write down the problem and the answer so you'll have it. But if you do need explanation, you see that there's no need for a common denominator because you already have a common denominator. And the reason I generalize when I say that everybody knows how to do these, is you have to have a certain amount of math and algebra to get into 155, okay? That's covered, this is covered in basic math and pre-algebra, okay? So I'm assuming that in order to get in this class, everybody knows how to do a common denominator problem. That's why I said it like that. As soon as I get to equivalent fractions, okay, there we go. Now we have a problem that you might see on a test. Now we're going to go right to 5.1 and we're going to write down 6 and 15. 6 and 15, 2, 3, 5, 7, 11, and 13. Go to it. And I don't care about the first one. What is the first one called? The least common multiple. I want the big number. Let's go ahead and take a minute and find the common denominator of 6 and 15. Oh, I forgot to tell you the story. You're supposed to remind me. So I got an email this weekend. I'm going to hit pause because I don't want anybody. Eventually, I hope the person realizes they've already sent 2 emails. And I'm not replying to it because I've already covered that information. We're not even halfway through the outline yet on Unit 1. And they're asking about a test. All right, here we go. I'm going to divide by 3. That'll give me a 2 and a 5. Then I'm going to divide by 2. That'll give me a 1, and the 5 comes down. That'll give me a 5, the 1 comes down, and 1. I got my 1s. So what is 6 times 5? 30. So my common denominator is 30. Now, convert the numerators. Now, we've already covered this. Remember, how many times will 15 go into 30? How many times will 6 go into 30? And convert the numerators. So, how many times will 15 go into 30? 2 times 13 is what? 26. How many times will 6 go into 30? 5 times 5 is? What is 26 minus 25?
1.
So your answer is 1 over 30. That is a test question. You're going to see about 5 or 10 of those on the test. Anything having to do with adding or subtracting fractions, you're going to see it.
So
I can't hear you.
anything with addition and subtraction, we're supposed to use.
You got to have a common what?
Yeah.
Denominator. Okay? And don't worry, we're going to do so many of these problems in the next couple of days because y'all going to keep sending them. There's your answer. Okay, they're doing a different way, but that's fine. The common denominator is 30, and the answer is 1 over 30. So that right there tells you that we're doing it the same way. They're just going about a different method. And that is 5.3. So let's get rid of that and go to, hold on a second, 5.2. 5.2 is not that big a deal. Why is 5.2 not that big a deal? Because 5.2 I can sum up with one, I'm not even going to go there. 5.2 I can sum up with one whiteboard. Positive and negative numbers. To add or subtract positive/negative numbers, all you have to remember
Priority 1 message coming in on secured channel.
is what? Money. I worked at Walmart for 2 years during the time after high school and before the Marine Corps. I worked at 396 over here in Anderson. It was beside the mall. And I worked there for like 2 years. And sometimes they would put me on the cash register at the front. I worked in sporting goods and automotive. Sometimes this is when Walmart was Walmart, okay? Walmart had 10 cash registers. They had 10 people up there. You with me? This was a long time ago. All right? Not one cash register with 30 cash registers. It was 10 cash registers, 10 people. And if they got backed up, they would call one of us from the back or from electronics or whatever, and we'd lock down and go up to the front. Okay? Sometimes I would make a mistake with change. Okay? Out of male or female, which one caught the change error first? Female. So don't you sit here and tell me you can't do math. Because you women, y'all can do calculations in your head in nanoseconds when it's about money. Okay? So don't sit there and tell me you can't do math. Because that's not valid. Okay? I learned that when I worked at
My
Walmart.
grandma could tell you prices that was reduced like that.
You give somebody 6 cents and it's $5 or $6.56, and you give them a $10 bill and 6 cents, their head will explode. But these are also people that can't spell race car backwards, okay, or bomb backwards. They never should have graduated high school, okay. But we're not going there. Let's go ahead and look at this. What am I talking about? In the real world, what does this mean as far as money? You had it. You had it. I don't care if you had it in your pocket or if you had it in your savings account or your checking account. If you've got a positive, that means you have it. What does this mean in the real world? You owe it. Now, contrary to some people's belief, if you have a bill of $50, you need to what? Pay that bill. Okay? If you want to spend the money, you've got to what? As Rocky says, if you want to dance, you got to pay the band. If you want to borrow, you got to pay the man. That's Rocky 1. That's one of my favorite movies. Okay? And some people don't understand that. You know, if you want to dance, you got to pay the band. Okay? That is a very, there's always kind of applications for that sentence, but we're not going there. But let's go with this. -2 plus 4. This right here says I owe $2. This right here says what? Okay, now this doesn't take rocket science. If you owe $2 and you have $4, what's the outcome of this transaction? You have $2. Now, I don't care who you are. I don't care where you're from. You can do math in your head. All you got to do is apply it to something that what is important to you. And if you apply it to money, which is important to everybody, there's no way you can mess this up. Well, Hubert, what about this? -2 minus 4. What does this say? You owe $2. No coughing or sneezing in class. You owe what? She did that on purpose. Now, if you owe somebody $2 and you owe somebody $4, what's the outcome of this transaction? You owe $6. So that means you have a -6. All right. All right, give me another one. Let's do, this one was negative first. Let's do this one. Let's do +4 -7. Oops, I can't write. This one says I have $4. This one says what? Well, if I have $4 and I owe $7, what's the outcome of having $4 and owing $7? You owe $3. Now, somebody tell me, why is that difficult? It's not difficult because you're applying it to what? Money. And if you apply it to money, some of you females in here, y'all make an A. Y'all will make an A on this part of the test because you can't get a penny by some women. I mean, I'm the spender, so I don't care. I don't save money. That's probably why I'm divorced, huh? I don't save money. I'm the spender. Money burns a hole in my pocket. So, and some of y'all don't know what that means because your parents didn't teach you. But if I save $50 out of my paycheck, that's a good thing. But I don't. So, anyway, make a long story short. Now, I will buy cows. I buy cows and steers and stuff like that. That's an investment. So I guess that would be my saving. Anyway, they're not difficult. Well, Hubert, what about when you have two negatives? Well, the only thing you need to remember there is this. Two negatives turn into, and we're going to use green because it's a Christmas color. We're going to use Christmas color so y'all remember it. Two negatives turn into a what? A positive. And that's your third rule of, so you got one rule that says have it. You got one rule that says owe it. And the third rule says if you have two negatives mushed together, then it makes a what? A positive. Now let me show you what that means. So let me erase this, or erase it right here. I'm just going to do one more right here. 4 minus a -2. Well, the first thing you do here, when you have one like this, is you change those two negatives to a what? And now you have what you've been doing. You have $4. You have $2. What's the outcome of having $4 and having $2? You have $6. So there's no reason to mess this up. As long as you're thinking of money and you remember that two negatives make a positive, you don't have to worry about these problems. Well, what about multiplying and dividing? Well, that's real easy. Multiplying and dividing positives and negatives. Oops. Oh, me. Can't spell. I get this way toward the end of the day. Can't spell, can't write. Multiply, it's them drinks I'm drinking. Multiplying and dividing positives / negatives. There's only one rule, two rules you have to remember. Like signs are what? Positive. Unlike signs are what? How many times have y'all had to use jumper cables on your car? What happens if you cross a positive with a negative? It sparks all over the place. Okay? That's a negative. You don't want to blow up your car. What do you mean? Red goes on the positive, red goes on the positive. If you take the red and hook it up to a positive and hook the red up to a negative, it's going to blow your alternator up. That's negative. Blowing your car up is a negative. But if you hook the red up to a positive and red up to a positive on your battery, that's good. It's positive. But if you cross it, it's going to blow your car up. What do I mean? -4 times -4. Are this like or unlike? That's a like. So you have two like signs, so the answer is positive 16. -3 times -4. Oops, times positive 4. Like or unlike? That's unlike. Unlike would be -12. Like signs are positive. Unlike signs are negative. So let's do another one. Let's do -16 divided by +2. Like or unlike? Unlike is negative, so your answer is going to be negative. And what's 16 divided by 2?
8.
What's -42 divided by -6? Well, what's negative divided by negative? Like or unlike?
Like.
Like. So your answer is going to be positive. And what's 42 divided by 6? 7. Yeah. Okay, so now everybody should be working on 5.1, 5.2, and 5.3. We are halfway through Unit 1. So that means we've got another half to go before we even think about a Unit 1 test. Who's got questions? All right, is everybody up there at Easley? Y'all supposed to have 5, aren't you?
This one.
Yeah, there's only 4.
Okay.